We are back, Kristen.
Yes, we are.
How are you doing today?
Good, and you, Max?
Thank you. We want to piggyback on our last episode,
Yes.
which was about the elements of CrossFit and what CrossFit wants with the program.
Yes.
And we want to piggyback on it for our youth.
Yes.
We want to talk about how CrossFit benefit, or how kids and teens benefit actually the most out of CrossFit.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is a super important topic to me because I love the teens and kids classes.
Yeah.
I think that's really where we can make the most difference, is building good habits from young ages.
Yes.
So going off of what we talked about last week, the elements of CrossFit, CrossFit building fitness, and the elements of CrossFit, that pyramid, right? And if you didn't tune in last week, the pyramid goes nutrition at the base,
Yep.
then metabolic conditioning, which is your cardiovascular sufficiency, your basically your heart health, right? Above that is gymnastics, your spatial awareness and body control. Above that, weightlifting, so controlling external objects, weighted objects, anything that's not just your body.
Yep.
And then on top of that is sports.
Correct.
Once you have the foundation built from nutrition, metabolic conditioning, gymnastics, weightlifting, then you go sports specific
Yep.
with your training. So for us, it's super cool with the teens and kids because we get to build this foundation.
Yep.
A lot of the kids are in sports, and you know, I don't know the actual numbers or statistics, but I would think it's a fair thing to say that most kids who start sports don't start with the foundation. They start with their sport.
Yep.
You want to play water polo, you start going swimming and playing water polo.
Yeah,
You
which
don't-
is actually a bad thing
Yes.
for this particular example, because you're supposed to build a foundation in swimming first.
Yes.
But many people, or guys start with water polo, but water polo doesn't teach you correct swimming technique.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and I grew up playing tennis and soccer, and there was absolutely, I think the one thing we did was endurance training in the tennis academy. So we did a crap ton of suicides and, you know, running drills and tennis drills to be fast on our feet, but we did zero weightlifting. We didn't do any gymnastics. Maybe, I don't think we did any push-ups or anything like that. Maybe a couple sit-ups for the core, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we didn't do any weightlifting, we didn't do any gymnastics, only metabolic conditioning. We definitely weren't talking about nutrition as kids. And then aside from that, even worse, we didn't do any kind of really stretching and mobility. We did warm-ups that were also moving, but we didn't work on any of the foundation, any of the things that really would have set us up to be
Successful.
even more successful.
And healthy, stay healthy, longevity, all those things.
That right there is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is if you build this foundation, it promotes longevity in your health when you go into sports.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge problem. I'd say, let's say Europe, what is soccer, football is the biggest sport here
Yes,
in
by
Europe.
far,
By far. But their careers are so short because they have so many injuries. Because they all started playing soccer at a really young age, they didn't build any of the foundation, and they started twisting ankles, breaking ankles, all this stuff, which just compounds problem after problem, and your lifetime of sport is only so long when you're beating your body up and not supplementing with the other stuff.
Only once you get to a certain level, you will get the treatments, you will get the focus on mobility and correct movement and supplementing your sports movements with gymnastics and weightlifting movements.
When you're full grown, it's a little too late.
Yeah.
we need to build those habits when you're young.
That's what we did, right?
Yeah.
That's what everybody
That's when my body's falling apart.
That's what a lot of the early CrossFitters did, because CrossFit is fairly new.
Yep.
And we had to learn the hard way. And the cool thing right now is that we get to, if we are allowed to, we get to build the foundations with the next generation.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a lot of parents who inquire about the kids and teens classes asking, I've heard a lot of, is weightlifting bad for kids, you know, maybe not the teens, but like the kids classes, 6 to 10 year olds, like should they be weightlifting? Well, first of all, it's very important to understand, like they're not lifting 100 pounds. They're not even lifting their body weight. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not giving them these heavy things to do. We are helping them learn how to manipulate their bodies first, build their cardiovascular system, and then manipulate very small amounts of weight. But also it's not damaging. It's healthy.
I have a 2-year-old daughter, and she wants to, and she sometimes achieves to carry around things that look heavier than she even is. You won't stop a child from doing those things.
No.
What you want is the kids to know how to
do it safely.
Yes.
Properly.
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
And that's what we're offering through the courses that we teach the kids, the minis even, the kids, the teens. They're learning how to do these things properly. So that they can do it forever and ever and not hurt themselves. The other thing is, man, I was talking to one of our other coaches because she had a question about one of her kids with the doctor. And I think she said after 6 or 7, they lose that like super rubber bandy elasticity that kids have. You know, all small children can squat perfectly, right? I was gonna get
they
can all squat perfectly from like the time they can start doing that when they can stand and go down. And if they don't continue squatting, they lose the mobility or they lose the ability to do it all the way, which is sad because you're born with it. So it's super important for the children up to 6 years old, and then even after that, to continue working on those things that keep them that mobile the way we were designed to be from day one. And I think it's awesome that CrossFit offers that. I agree. That aspect of fitness.
And then just to be very clear, we're not trying to build an army of CrossFit Games athletes that grow into the sport of CrossFit. It's more we're after building the foundation so they can do whatever sports they would like to do.
Absolutely.
Right? We're trying to supplement all of the other sports, whatever you can think of, you name it. I
think most of our teens are actually in other sports. We have a couple swimmers, we have a couple baseball players, soccer players,
and
football players.
Great.
And CrossFit supplements what they're doing. We're not training them in their sport. We're not trying to be their soccer coach. We're trying to build the foundation so that their soccer coach can pay attention to soccer instead of building their cardiovascular system or building their strength. That's what we do. Then they go off and do their sports. And I've had couple parents comment on how their kids' coaches have commented on how much better they've gotten through the season since, I mean, they don't know since starting CrossFit, but the parents know. It's because of what they're doing in the gym, learning these different elements that they can put to use in their sport.
Cool. Want to talk a little bit about the difference between what a kids class looks like and a teens class, maybe. So people can get an understanding of what we're offering.
So specifically for us, and each gym is a little different. But for us, our kids classes are 30 minutes, not an hour. Let me be specific. The minis and the 6 to 10 year olds are 30-minute classes. Maybe sometimes 45 if they're rambunctious that day. But it mostly consists of game style workouts or stations that they move through so that they stay focused, because that's one of the hardest part is keeping them focused normally. But it's running them through different stations, different movements, adding a game in there so they have the fun aspect, they enjoy doing it, but you're still reinforcing the foundational movements. And 30 minutes long. So they're not working for crazy amounts of time at 6 years old. And then the teens class is an hour long. And they are very similar to what the adults are doing currently. I want to specify because pre-COVID and post-COVID look different for the teens because most sports were postponed or canceled during COVID. So they weren't getting the cardiovascular stuff that they normally would usually get in whatever sport they're doing. So we went a little bit more closer to the adult classes with the high intensity workouts, still focusing on the strength and the skill work. As opposed to pre-COVID, we were very heavily focused on the skill work and the weightlifting aspect because that's generally what's missing from the sports.
The strength training, and that's also what takes the most amount of time. Takes the longest. It takes years to build proper strength. They
usually get metabolic conditioning in some fashion or another with any sport you do. That's part of sports is metabolic conditioning, that cardiovascular aspect. And then the gymnastics and the weightlifting are missing. So that's generally what we try to focus on with the teens. Like I said, now it's more of a mix of both because they haven't been in sports, so they need a little bit of everything.
Very cool. Super proud of the Kids and Teens program.
It's grown a lot over the last couple of years, which is awesome. I hope it continues to grow.
For sure.
If you have teens, send them our way.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for listening again, guys. And hopefully we'll see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave comments, ask questions, share with your friends and family.
Tschüss.
And that's it.
Tschüssi.
Bye.